Who are you?
The new iconic villain.
I don't know who you are, but you've made a big mistake.
Have I killed you before?
What?
They all blur together after a while.
You're listening to Duck Dust FM. This past weekend, I took a break from working on the video I started this channel for and took a vacation to America's largest, safest, and most eternally beautiful city, New York. So I decided, why not blend in with the locals and take a little Manhattan magic sauce and go see Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania. Now, I guess it kind of took a drug-addled state to lift me out of my self-imposed MCU embargo. I mean, there was no way I was going to see anything post-Endgame sober, especially after disasters like... Not to mention all the Marvel atrocities on Disney Plus, like... So after walking out of the theater of each of those irredeemably awful MCU projects, I decided I would never give Disney Marvel another cent as long as they kept producing crap like that. It's a good thing I bought a ticket for Megan instead. Love and Thunder was probably the last straw for me because it represented probably the biggest canyon, between hype and delivery. So much so that the apathy that had been building up from Phase 4 finally came to fruition. Such was the case for Quantumania. I was legitimately surprised when the trailer debuted a few months ago, and it was actually not that bad, per se. It wasn't the Ragnarok trailer from a few years ago, but it had good, fitting music, intrigue, some mystery.
Don't think so.
Even if it gave the whole plot away. But most importantly, it had a darker and more serious tone, which was a noticeable departure from the previous movies. That is, until the rough cut was sent upstairs for evaluation.
The new iconic villain.
I don't know, maybe Marvel was finally learning their lesson about giving people what they want, or doing something different, but with care, instead of a canonical flamethrower.
Oh, I don't think so.
Well, that's what I get for having any hope for Hollywood. So Quantum Man and the Wasp's Nest, Quantumania, live from the quantum realm, starts off with his self-explanatory monologue about what Scott's been up to before it jumps to him being shit on by his family and friends for saving their ungrateful asses from being the dust I snorted prior to watching this. Anyway, though, Cassie from 3 Actors and 2 Movies ago has become a fiery but peaceful protester and part-time Einsteinian fucking super genius in a few years' time and has built a quantum satellite to the quantum realm, which they so happen to suddenly get sucked into while they're all talking about it for the very first time, and that Janet is hiding something, a common theme here. So everyone gets sucked into your PC's background, no seriously, can you tell the difference, and come across some strange looking set pieces like Broccoli Guy, Strong Warrior Princess, Rudolph the Yellow Mind Reader, Flashlight Head Guy, and a few Marvel interns, and they all have to drink some translation goo. Of course Cassie fucking drinks it. So the more bearable ones of the group go to Cafe Quantum CGI and meet fellow former film actor and current Marvel prisoner Bill Murray, who proceeds to ask Hank Pym if that smell on his finger is familiar. Hank gets pissed and later sticks his own hands in a gooey mess as some form of cope, I guess. I'm sure some more stuff happened in the 40 minutes after that. I don't know, I was fighting a homeless crackhead and 20-pound rat for the rest of my Sour Patch watermelons. But I'm pretty sure it was Darren Cross from the first movie that turns out to be MODOK. I mean, hey, as you can see from this video, I'm pretty new to After Effects too. I thought all those Spy Kids 2 memes were fake, but holy shit, this is what they're putting out in 2023 on that much money? So Scott and Cassie are eventually taken to Him the Conqueror, who was cast out by the Council of Ricks, and wants to get out of Quantumania as soon as possible. Feelings mutual, buddy. So Him tells Scott about time and that he'll do bad quantum time things to Cassie if he doesn't do some of the time things for his quantum needs, and Scott has to become an actual ant to find the MacGuffin time ball. The Langs eventually get the ball to Kang, while Hank Pym gets shot down by him. A stereotypical Marvel CGI battle ensues, like the one She-Hulk made fun of.
Often said that Marvel movies all end the same way.
Wait.
Infinite number of different personas.
And him's defeated by socialist super ants, but not before he comes back and punches Scott for a minute before he gets defeated. Scott and Hope get trapped in the quantum realm, the only moment of actual shock I had the entire time, for 6 seconds, until it opens up and they all live happily ever after, maybe until the next Disney Plus show or delayed and reshot Marvel garbage. You know how I said Love and Thunder had been a valley between expectation and delivery? Well, by this time nobody had expected Quantumania to be a much-needed return to the mid-2010s golden age of Marvel, especially after an unparalleled disaster like Phase 4. You can't blame people for wanting to have a little bit of hope. No, not that hope. That's better. It was probably just happenstance that the day after this was dropped into cinemas like a baby at a fire station, that hotly anticipated releases like The Marvels, Echo, and Ironheart were all cast into the great unknown of delayed for improvement.
I don't think so.
Scott Lang is stripped of a lot of his humor and likability that made him lovable in the previous Ant-Man movies, in favor of setting up his stronger and more socially conscious daughter that can do everything he can within minutes. Evangeline Lilly gets the full Nebula treatment and is basically relegated to a background character for a good portion of a movie with her name in the title. Wonder how that happened. Speaking of that, it's noticeable that almost all side characters from Ant-Man 1 and 2 are absent. Bobby Cannavale's cop stepfather, Scott's wife, and most noticeably of all, Michael Peña's Luis and the rest of his crew. David Dalmatian, however, survived the character purge and was asked to come back as a different character. Wonder how that happened.
Every battle is won before it's ever fought.
Michael Douglas and Michelle Pfeiffer do their best, but clearly are just kind of phoning it in. He's not really acting when he says he needs something to get him drunk. Jonathan Majors also does his best to little avail under a weak script, and after 2 turns as Kang isn't building anywhere near the fear and presence that Thanos brought to the MCU, which may be a problem going into Marvel's next projects.
Well, no shit.
The CGI is a mess start to finish, even where a real set could have been used. It all looks like a bunch of highlighter dribble, or like the characters were just acting shadow puppets in front of one of those starlight projector things.
The visual effects team has moved on to another project.
It'll never not amaze me that the CGI looks worse now than it did a decade ago on less money. The movie's not top-down awful like Eternals or Multiverse of Madness, though it comes dangerously close. The Baskin-Robbins Scott Lang and the moment when Kang flicks Scott and Hope aside like flies made for some light chuckles among the screams of bloody murder in my theater, but that was pretty much it. The ending where an army of ants easily defeat the supposed next big MCU villain,
And the Empire will be defeated by Ewoks.
That's very unlikely.
along with a ham-fisted story, unfortunately isn't the only reason that Quantumania was awful.
Look, if you're not going to take this seriously, I'm out.
And they should go, because the movie that was trying to get a darker tone doesn't. It takes nothing of its darker and intriguing elements seriously at all, and that's just one problem. Marvel humor, per usual, is on full display at all the wrong times and places, and it's easy to see where the movie was chopped up like a moldy pizza and stitched together in post. So much so that the movie feels like, at times, they shot the trailer and filled in the gaps to make the movie, instead of the other way around.
She's texting, he's sexting, and that guy brought a baby to a 9 o'clock movie!
There's also a lot of sex jokes for a kids' movie, and an unveiled advertisement for socialism.
They're sheep, and sheep get slaughtered.
But one of the film's final lines is what sums up the movie and the current MCU perfectly. Scott wonders if Kang's warning about the coming doom should be taken seriously, but just kind of shrugs it off and tells himself not to think about it too much. What a blissfully ignorant Marvel metaphor. Well, Marvel, maybe one day you'll learn.
I don't think so.
Fucking like and subscribe for duck's sake.
The Duke. Duck, I says.